Hello, it's Friday, June 20th, 2025. This is your Canadian Prairie weather story. I'm meteorologist Andrew Pritchard with Nutrien Ag Solutions, coming to you off schedule this week only with a Friday update here. It's been an extremely active week for severe weather, and Wednesday specifically was very active in kind of my surrounding area, all the way through the eastern Corn Belt here. An extremely high density wind damage event here from Illinois into parts of the Ohio valleys. But this is the June 15th through the 19th. I promise I'm not going to talk long about the United States weather here, but all of these red, blue, and kind of pinkish purple dots that you see on there are reports of damaging wind, tornadoes, or hail during that 5-day period. And then all the green dots are Nutrien retail facilities. So you see a big overlap there with a lot of dangerous weather, a lot of damaging weather overlapping where we have a lot of Nutrien retail assets. So Wednesday, a big part of my role here at Nutrien is the severe weather safety guy. So when we have damaging, life-threatening, or asset-threatening weather, that kind of preempts everything for me in the morning. So we'll get back on schedule here next week with a Wednesday update. But what we got to talk about here is also some very interesting weather, some high-impact weather across the prairies over the next few days. Big storm system moves in, a lot of heavy rain across parts of Alberta and Saskatchewan, and this is going to be kind of the beginning of a window of opportunity here for multiple chances for rain over the next 7 to 10 days across the prairies, and then those temperatures will trend warmer as we get towards the last days of June into the beginning of July. Again, with the kind of exit of this storm system and the building of some heat across the region. But I think it'll be a hot, stormy transition towards the end of June into the beginning of July across the prairies. Now let's start off looking at the satellite loop across all of North America. And again, you got the prairies right up here, a big swirl. This is a big storm system that's tapping into, as I mentioned in my last update, this wide open Gulf of Mexico that we were going to be looking for. That would be the combination that gets us this window of opportunity during the summertime. An open Gulf with the supply of moisture, and then a jet stream that's active across the region with storm systems to tap into that moisture. So that's what we've got here. A big storm system this weekend, and then a series of smaller disturbances riding over the top of a ridge here across the United States. It's going to give us kind of renewed opportunities every couple of days for storm clusters and additional shots of rain across the prairies. So let's start off with the radar here. Taking a look at the building storm system, again, you can kind of make out the counterclockwise swirl here. Some heavy rain building up from southern Alberta into western portions of Alberta. Some corridors of some showers here across southern and southwestern portions of Saskatchewan as well. We have seen some thunderstorm activity over the last couple of days, some of which has produced some tornadoes and some hail. It's been very isolated in nature, and this storm that comes in over the next 48 hours is going to bring a bigger dose of moisture in a more widespread fashion. Unfortunately, not the entire prairie, but a big area that badly needs some moisture is going to get it over the next 48 to 72 hours. Now, with this storm system, temperatures are quite a bit cooler. Part of that just because we have a lot of cloud cover and precipitation, but this is tugging some cooler air down into the region, and it's going to be cooler across much of the prairies, probably for the next 3 to 5 days until we start to get this storm out of here and build some of the heat that you see in the bottom right of this screen to kind of build back into the area. A big heat wave coming across portions of the central United States. The American Corn Belt really going to be feeling some heat over the next 5 to 7 days. Now let's kind of look at how this all times out with the precipitation. This is our NAM model, and we'll go ahead and wind it back here to Friday. You see scattered shower and thunderstorm activity across the region becoming heavier over the next 24 hours as the main area of low pressure moves into the area. We wrap that precipitation around the backside. So this is Friday night, heavy rainfall across the region. This would be Friday, getting into Saturday morning. This would be mid-Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, a band of very heavy rain and likely some embedded thunderstorms, some strong synoptic. And what I mean by that is strong winds from the area of low pressure, not necessarily damaging thunderstorm wind gusts, but simply going to be a very windy, rainy time with this storm system as it makes its way here, across the prairies. Kind of the area of low pressure itself running right along the 49th here, much of the rain on the north side of that area of low pressure. So I do kind of worry a little bit about the sharp cutoff on the south side of this storm system here. Very far southern portions of Saskatchewan, maybe with a disappointing rainfall total here. We'll have to see how it all shakes out. You watch this thing kind of pivot. So this would be kind of Saturday morning, midday Saturday, Saturday afternoon. This is now Saturday night, getting into Sunday morning. Sunrise on Sunday. Rain is starting to taper off here, but you see that was a nice dose beginning now, running all the way through Saturday night, tapering off early Sunday morning. And then we see this area of low pressure kind of, dissipating across the area, but still showers and thunderstorms scattered across the region through the day on Sunday. Here's your Sunday night. This would be Monday morning. Take it all the way out here, midday Monday. This is now Monday evening. We have another smaller area of low pressure that kind of comes in right on the backside with scattered thunderstorms developing here. A few of these could be, producing some small hail as well. So this kind of is the catalyst that gets us into a stormy period here, probably for the next 7 to 10 days, maybe longer. But this is the time of year where we shorten that forecast window of confidence here, and we almost always have to take it kind of in 10 to 14, if we're lucky, day increments here, as far as, when are we going to get shots of high confidence, widespread shower and thunderstorm activity? When are we going to kind of shut things down? So what we know now is we've got a window of opportunity for repeated rounds of showers and storms, and this is something we badly need. So let's just see what we get out of the next 7 to 10 days and kind of assess things next week as far as, does this run on through the month of July, or is there kind of a closing to this window? I mentioned some of those winds turning blustery. I'll show you when they become the strongest, and it's as the area of low pressure matures and lifts into southern Alberta during the day on Saturday. You see the very tight swirl there around that area of low pressure. Those winds may be gusting at times, 60 to 80 kilometers per hour. Precipitation heavy and widespread. This is totals through Monday, June 23rd. So you see a widespread area there with the red shading. That's where we're talking about 50 to 100 millimeters of precipitation. And even as you move off across portions of central and southern Saskatchewan, we're talking about 20 to 40 millimeters of precipitation as well. And then I mentioned, I have some concern about far southern, maybe southeastern portions of Saskatchewan kind of getting on the short end here, but still looking at least, at scattered totals, 10 to 20 millimeters in that area with the chance for more coming next week. I think we'll at least take it for now. I mentioned those winds. These are your peak wind gusts, through the weekend, with the strongest winds occurring mostly on Saturday, some of that Friday night, some of that carrying over into the day on Sunday. But, a corridor from central and southern Alberta into central Saskatchewan, that's what we're talking, 60 to 80 kilometer per hour wind gusts associated with this storm system. Again, these are gradient winds here because of the tight pressure gradient. These are not thunderstorm wind gusts. So just a very kind of an exceptional late season storm system across the region. This is the European model forecast totals. This is, one that gives me a little bit more concern. I showed you the NAM model, the European here with that sharper cutoff with the lighter totals there across far southern portions of Saskatchewan with the kind of, really sharp line there where it goes from 15 millimeters all the way up to 55 millimeters over a distance of maybe just, 30 to 50 kilometers. And so that can be frustrating this time of year. That is kind of the nature of summertime precipitation. But this is kind of an exceptional system. This is a large dose of precipitation that we're going to take, knowing that if I show you this is through Monday, if I add on the next 10 days, now you're looking at through July 5th. There's a lot of precipitation on here. This is the difference here. This is the first round of many over the next 10 days. Now, is every round going to be this heavy? No, they're going to become a little bit more scattered in nature. But as I show you some of these precipitation kind of time series maps at the very end of this video, you'll see it's a window of opportunity. This is what we ask for this time of year. This is what we badly need across the region. Not just one chance, but multiple chances, and you just hope to keep banking some with each one. Now, here are those chances. We'll look at the jet stream winds as we animate this over the next 15 days. Focusing right here, kind of wind it back because I want to slow it down. This is the storm system right now. You see the swirl here, the fast jet stream winds coming around the base of this. You get rising motion here. We've got, a flow of deep moisture from the Gulf. So this is what we talked about last week. The Gulf opens up, we get deep moisture. We need to keep storm systems interacting with that. So we get that going here over the next several days through the weekend. You see this little system that comes wrapping around, this little much weaker, smaller one, but this is enough to get scattered shower and thunderstorm activity going. Bit of a lull here. This allows some warmth to start to creep back into the area, but you see this fast flow coming across the Aleutian Islands through the Gulf of Alaska. This has additional storm systems that will be interacting with that unimpeded flow of moisture from the Gulf. So as we get into, this would be the end of next week, Wednesday, Thursday, June 26th. You see a next kind of burst of flow coming in. This would be, what would be generating scattered showers and storms, thunderstorm clusters. You see another little disturbance right here, another bigger, area of upper level low pressure that makes its way in. And then we just continue to fire systems off the Pacific, and then, additional systems here as the monsoon gets going, kind of rotating around that ridge, essentially kind of rotating around a ridge we're going to build across the plains here, across the United States, that will give us repeated rounds of showers and storms tapping into all of this moisture. So here's what we got now. Big system, a lot of moisture. We get a lull here, a bit drier. There's that wraparound system Monday and Tuesday, but the moisture comes back. It builds right back in as we get into middle to the late part of next week into early July. And that's going to be multiple chances for showers and storms. I'll show you that here with the European model, the deterministic run. So with time, we kind of lose confidence with this, but we can kind of observe the pattern. So here's Friday night getting into Saturday morning. Heavy precipitation across central and southern Alberta, moving into Saskatchewan here during the day on Saturday. This is Saturday night. This is now Sunday. This is now getting into Monday. We'll kind of quiet down, but we got this little wraparound system that gets tugged back in here with another light dose of moisture on Monday. Maybe some scattered showers and storms with this one. Turn a bit warmer here as we head into the middle of next week, and then it turns kind of what I would call hot and stormy. So here's Wednesday. We've got scattered showers and storms returning across Alberta and Saskatchewan. This kind of, flashing of green you get is kind of daily shower and thunderstorm activity. This is June 27th. This is the 28th. This is June 29th, getting into the 30th. You see some breaks here. You get another push of jet stream energy here as we get into the first few days of July. So this is now July 2nd. And 3rd, this is July 4th, and then this would be July 5th. This is another, good area of low pressure that could bring in rounds of showers and storms. And as I animate this, you watch these deeper colors here. This is instability. This is heat and moisture, essentially, thunderstorm fuel. You see much of it pushed away here after the weekend, but watch it build right back in, and at times becoming quite intense as we get towards, again, the end of June and the beginning of July. The atmosphere likely going to be pretty ripe across the prairies, and it won't take much to ignite some of these clusters of showers and storms. So over the next 10 days, the probability of picking up 1 inch or more of total precipitation, you see a lot of Alberta, a big chunk of Saskatchewan, and then a lot of Manitoba here, still in that 60 to 80% range. And I can take it a step further. This is the probability of 2 inches or more over the next 10 days. A big chunk of Alberta in a sliver there. It's really more than a sliver, but a chunk of central Saskatchewan with a really high confidence forecast here of 2 inches or more from this weekend storm system, plus repeated chances heading into late June, early July. And then I mentioned those temperatures, a bit cooler right now, but the warmth will be building back into the area here the end of June into the beginning of July. Getting my J months mixed up here. Calgary, check out your next 10 days. 12 for the high tomorrow, 16 on Sunday, 17 Monday, and then right back up to 26 on Wednesday. Looking at the precipitation time series, so the dates at the bottom there, this is your next kind of 15 days. You see a big surge of moisture here. A lot of forecast members in that 40 to 60 millimeter range, some with as much as 80 millimeters here in Calgary. But you notice the little jumps there as it keeps running on. And each time you see that little line, all the many lines kind of taking a little jump upward. That's another chance for showers and storms within that forecast suite. So we look for those to continue. That's what we want to see, is that window of opportunity remaining open. It's bigger in some of these other locations. Edmonton, you see your temperatures here, but also check out the forecast. A little drier here. You don't quite get the heavy moisture from the weekend storm system. So you can see the incremental jumps there, but you don't get the 40 to 60 millimeters this week that Calgary does. Saskatoon, go ahead and jump back here to your temperatures, 15 essentially for the next 3 days, up to 26. Give or take here as you get to mid to late next week. You see your forecast here, maybe 40 millimeters from the weekend storm system, and then you see all those little incremental jumps taking you up to maybe anywhere from 60 to 80 by the time we get to the end of the 2-week forecast period. Regina here, 18 for the high tomorrow, 13 with that colder air on Sunday, back up to, again, look at the pretty uniform temperatures. We're headed back to the mid-20s as we head to mid to late next week. Regina, pretty similar to Edmonton here, not quite so wet from the weekend system, but you still get into that pattern where every 3 to 5 days we're talking about a chance of a cluster of showers and storms moving through. Finish with you in Winnipeg, pretty hot to start off the weekend, 28 ahead of the storm system here moving through on Saturday. You get a little bit cooler here Sunday, Monday, back to those highs in the mid-20s as we get into the mid to late part of next week. Not as many rainfall opportunities as you make your way further east. So southern Manitoba, maybe, a little bit on the drier side over the next 2 weeks, but you still see multiple chances here. And a lot of those forecast members, as we get, into the 10 to 14 day time period, we're still talking about 20 to 40 millimeters with some outliers on the lower or the higher side. So the window of opportunity for showers and storms, you may be tired of hearing me say that phrase by now, is open now. I think it'll be open for the next probably 14 days, but we'll reassess this kind of week by week. I mentioned here, not trying to give myself an easy off-ramp, but this is the hardest time of year to predict precipitation with certainty. You just kind of look for these time periods where, you know what, it looks active versus we're really going to be having to search for those opportunities. So good news for now. We'll circle back in a week. Have a wonderful weekend. I'll talk to you next Wednesday. We'll continue with our Wednesday cadence moving forward.